Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one of this bigger idea and this bigger platform, which I'm creating, which is discovering our greatness. But in this 10-day workshop, solely focusing on fearless greatness and invoking our reality, where the concept and the foundation and the basis of these 10 days is going to be about truly going inside, pulling out or invoking the truth of who we are, creating our reality, and becoming fearless in our own greatness. And again, I just thank you for choosing for yourself, for trusting in me and wanting to just investigate. What is O'Shea doing? What is he creating? And whatever you're saying is actually exciting me, and I want to know more. So let's just get into day one, understanding our present state. And I want to share a little bit why I say understanding instead of understanding. So think about that word, understanding, and what it means. When we share something or when we go through an experience, we take information inside of ourselves to decipher, to relate, to connect to before we either speak or before we act in that situation, right? What they say is we take an understanding. But what we're really doing is taking information within our brain and within our body, and it's going inside. When I go into that situation, I'm not under you, I'm not beneath a situation, I'm not below, but I'm taking it in before I react or respond. It's an understanding. We're taking things within before we respond. So I like to share understanding. So understanding our present state. Today, and actually every day, not just today, I really encourage you, before you sit down and start the videos, and even though we're gonna do them here right now, before you start these videos, every single day, you're gonna have something that's going on in your life before you sit down here. A lot of thoughts, a lot of actions, a lot of possibly even hindrances or roadblocks to get you here, to stop you. Even your brain may say, don't go back and sit down. You have other things to do. Oh, you're too good for this. Well, who's too good to just get a little bit more insight, to get a little bit more information? And what I encourage you to do and invite you to do before every session is to just sit down and take 3 really, really deep breaths, hyperoxygenate the body so we can release away the day that's happened before we got here, anything that's happened, so we can become right here. We can sit right into this present moment, and we can bring in some clarity to the time that you're putting yourself here. So I just encourage you now to take 3 super deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're not doing anything spiritual. We're not talking religion. We're not talking about meditating. We're just rinsing off the day before we got here. And every day before you get here, I encourage you to do this before each video, because we're not going to do this every day coming into the video. So this is going to be your time to take 5 to 10 seconds to just get centered and get fresh, get settled into this session. Now let's jump into it. Day one, understanding our present state, understanding our present state. So what I want to first do is lay some foundation. This course is really going to be, as I said, it's going to be some insight to my method of timeline extraction, to extract us from our timeline and to find an upper awareness or an elevated state to encompass our full understanding of self. We have to lay some foundation. So in that foundation of today is going to be that basis to understand, see, even I say it, to understand where we are, who we are, what we are, then when and how we got to be right where we are, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we react, the way we respond. From this, we can rebuild, we can rewire, we can restructure, and we can recreate the world that we want to have for ourselves. And that is to create this dream life, to create this greatness that we deserve, to have this understanding in relation to how powerful that we can become if we just go within, connect to who we were, understand who we want to be, and then start creating that right now in our present state. So we got to dive into that. So in the first state, I want to hit on our ideas, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our agreements. Because how we think now, right in this moment as an adult, wherever we are in our life, and how we believe is all based on agreements we've made in our past. And I'm going to break this down today in these agreements. And in between these agreements and beliefs, you either are living in a true, authentic state of yourself, or you are living with an identity that's been created. You were part of that creation, but there's also been other outside forces that's created that identity that might not allow you to feel who you truly want to be. Now, the first thing that a mass majority of people feel and they think and they say and do in their life, they start to feel like at some point in their life, they start to feel deep down that this is not actually who I want to be. I've become really good at what I'm doing. I have some happiness in it, but it's not truly who I want to be. And it's because you were taught that. You were given teachings along the way to decide that's who you were going to be. And you assigned with that and you chose it. Now, what happens in choosing that is we start to then recycle and ruminate, which is pull up old thoughts all the time. And now I want you to hear me out on this. Most people find themselves ruminating or recycling their thoughts and their words on their limitations, their lack of self, their disbelief, and this embracing of an identity that they didn't so much choose. And this casts a personal setback that doesn't allow them to step into a greater version of who they want to be. Now, I'm going to give you a fact, 2 facts, to set this ball into motion about our thoughts and our agreements. 80 to 90% of our thoughts, when we're not in control of what's going on, of ruminating and recycling thoughts, are all 80 to 9% are recycled thoughts from yesterday, right? Yet that's gone, that's over. And we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. So imagine 80 to 90% of those thoughts are all thoughts you already had yesterday. You are not creating anything new for yourself. And this is what creates self-limiting beliefs. We go through these repeated bouts of self-limiting beliefs that says that we're not good enough, that we're actually not good enough to go for the things that we truly want to achieve because we've lived in this state for so long. From those negative states, we start to accumulate negative self-talk that keeps us from believing in ourselves. And it truly punishes us from within. And the crazy part is we don't need the world to tell us that we don't need it, that we're not good enough, that we're undeserving, because we just do it to ourselves within our minds and within our emotions. We agree to this. And this is where the roadblock starts. This is where the hindrances come in. And it pushes us to sit in this miserable comfort. Miserable comfort. Think about that. If you are comfortable, are you living in joy or are you living in miserable comfort just to survive? We allow our present state of reality to be one that we actually don't really want to be in. Think about that. Think about where your life is right at this exact moment. Is everything in the most profound state of who you want to be? Is it all the dreams that you'd ever thought of when you were in your early teens or kid years, or maybe even early 20s? Or did life just happen and you just settled in and became comfortable? Because it's what you know, it's what you've known for so long now. You've just decided this is it. But yet somewhere in your mind, you still have this idea like there's got to be more. But why do we stay in it? Because it's easy. It's become familiar. It's become certain to us. We're secure in this state. And I hate to say this, or lack of better words, but we wallow in it. We just sit in it because we know we can survive here. We have this track record of winning in this state. We know we're not going to die. So we allow ourselves to sit in our miserable comfort. And the brain logically tells us that it's okay to be here. Don't go seek out the unknown. Don't go seek out the uncertainty, because we don't know if we're going to survive there. We might perish. We might die if we go seek this out. Now, how do we start to overcome those things? Or how do we start to further interconnect with those ideas? Okay, great. We've established that, yeah, you're right. I have some old programming and beliefs and agreements about myself that I don't like. Now, where do they come from? Where's the root cause? That's how we start to get over them. First is we have to look at our inner child. We have to go back to when we were kids and where programming started. Now, don't think programming like a robot and a machine. Be a little bit loose on this word, but understand that programming happens. And as we start to uncover our inner child, there's years of programming that starts from when we were kids. We have to understand that since we were born, through our younger years, we were taken through this domestication, this domesticated programming that from our parents, we learn to feel like they do, think like they do, speak like they do, act like they do. Because our parents were giving us this path to try and survive, right? They were giving us the best of what they had from the training that they had. And a lot of our parents didn't have the tools to step into their greatness. A lot of our parents didn't have the courage to go be great because of all the programming that they had. Now, why did we agree to this? Why did we choose to make these our beliefs? Now, I want to give you an example to kind of set this in motion. Think about if you grew up in a religious home and you grew up religious. Did you choose that? Or was it taught to you? If you grew up in a heavy sports family and your parents had the sports team, did you grow up as your sports team until maybe later in your years, maybe you changed as an adult, or were you taught that? Think about your language. Did you choose your language or the accent you speak, or was it taught to you because you heard it? It's what you were around. Think about how you feel pain or feel joy. That was also decided for you through how you as a child received reward and punishment in your household. So we have to start connecting to our griefs and our beliefs to understand how we can start to overcome fears and setbacks from our past and our future. Now, we go through this thing that's called, Ram Dass calls it the somebody training. We're being trained to be somebody. And in most all scenarios, as kids, we didn't choose that for ourselves. We went through this phase of this somebody training. And I don't want to say that I'm not saying it's our parents to blame, right? Or our primary caregiver, our grandparents, whoever raised us. So, like I said, they were just doing the best they could with what they had and the knowledge of what they gained at the time. Now, a lot of us feel that we want to start working on ourselves or healing ourselves, or as I say, going to find yourself, which is part of becoming who you want to be, disconnecting from who you were taught to be, and really feeling like, wow, I know there's more. And to do that, we need to uncover our past to connect with our present. Now, this is just stating the facts so we can start to uncover who we are. This is, no matter what you believe, this is true. You were raised to be a certain way. And at what point you broke away from that or still aligned with that is totally up to you. Now, to find this version of self that we truly want to be, if that old version or this current version isn't who we want, if we don't feel who we are right now is not our most authentic self, and it's not who you see yourself as your greatest self in your future, we need to start changing some agreements and beliefs. We need to start looking at our past to heal and become more powerful in our present. We need to unmask, we need to break down, and we need to reestablish a new foundation so we can start becoming that greater sense of self. And that's what we're going to do here. That's what we're going to do today, and that's what we're going to do these 10 days. I'm not going to go too deep into this somebody training and how to overcome all this in this session. I just want to bring light to it so we can start to see with a lens of clarity and truth, because that's how we overcome. I'm going to save deeper stuff for workshops and personal one-on-one stuff. That's all part of the timeline extraction. But let's start to uncover the identity and the agreement of that. Now, let's shed a little bit of light of truth, not judgment, but truth. When we see facts at face value, and when we can say or realize about ourselves things that we agree and believe to right now. Hey, you know what? I didn't choose that. And actually, I don't align with some of those things. And that doesn't make me feel authentic. No wonder I've been questioning so many things. And I do want to seek out a deeper meaning or new understanding. Or I would love to have new agreements or new beliefs that are going to push me forward. These two words, agrees and beliefs, now I've got them mixed together. Agreements and beliefs are two of the most crucial words that we can use to begin our evolution of growth, to step into greatness, to be fearless in who we want to become. These two words have been what formulated our younger selves to become our grown selves. Because when we agree to something, it becomes our beliefs. So now we can start agreeing to new things to create new beliefs to have this more empowered self. Now, I spoke about religion just briefly, but having a religion is an agreed belief, and no right or wrong on religion if you believe in religion or spirituality or what you believe, or neither. But you choose that. It's an agreement that you make and a belief that you have. You know, so as I mentioned, as a kid, you were told by parents what to believe in, and you agreed to that. And why did we agree to that? If you think about it, even as much as you may hold this as truth to you now, why did you agree to this? Why did you agree to a sports team? Why did you agree to eat all the food that you ate as a kid? Why did you agree to think the way you did? Because in our innocence as a child, we are just looking for a way to survive. We just want to be safe. And we're going to agree to whatever we can do to survive in the moment because we don't have the tools to defend ourselves. So our thinking and our talking and our emotions are all going to be agreements and beliefs that were made for us. Now, I want to give a little bit of a life application of this concept, so you can apply this to anything that you find in your life now. So as an adult, we can stem back to our childhood. We know that, right? And I really encourage you to do that a little bit more often. Look back further into where your agreements and beliefs came from. Where are they rooted? Where are they set in? Where did these agreements begin to take place, and why did you choose them? If you feel that you're not good enough, you feel that other people are better than you, if you feel you are meant to not be successful or be rich or to own your own business, where did that idea come from? Why do you believe in that? That came from somewhere. Where did that somebody training teach you to think like that? Or was it thought for you? Was it chosen for you? So we can start to change our thoughts and our beliefs. Now, again, like I said, I don't want to say your thoughts now or your agreements are wrong or your beliefs. We're just starting to look at this concept further, to connect with it, to know who we are, to know why we are, and to know how and what we want to become. So in our present moment, we can change our reality. All we're doing is stating some facts, looking at like we're extracting ourselves from the timeline. We're looking at a fully encompassed vision of it. We're elevating ourselves so we can take a deeper look and a deeper detailed look into ourselves. What do we want? What do we wish we wanted? How do you want to succeed in life? And where would you like to be in your life versus where you are now? A huge part of that is going to come from changing or rewiring our programmed beliefs. If you choose to, you can. I love to say that. If you choose to, it's a choice. The thing about our current beliefs is they can be changed. They are not stuck. If you believe that you are impatient or you have road rage, that's a choice. You can change that. We're totally allowed to make new beliefs, new changes, new agreements that are better suited for us to reach higher levels of achievement, self-belief, and trusting in our powers, trusting in the ability of how we create. If you're a smoker, if you choose to give it up, you can choose to give it up. You're not a smoker. Start saying you're not a smoker. My aunt was a smoker for 50 years, 40 something years, and she decided, you know what? I choose not to smoke anymore. I am not a smoker. She changed her language. She changed her beliefs, and she stopped smoking. It's all about the choices that we make. But we have to start with what we decide, and that's our agreements. So why do we feel setback or undeserving? Our setbacks and our undeserving feelings, our beliefs, come from our childhood, and those spill over into our adult life. Think about a cup. You're a child and you have this cup, and as you pour water into it, it's your beliefs, it's all your parents' agreements, it's all what they say, it's all how they treat you. It's all the society thinks as a child that's happening. And as you grow older, and as that liquid starts filling the cup, it's just going to start spilling over into your life, in every aspect of your life. And if you don't stop and stop pouring all those beliefs and agreements into it and stop and turn the handle off, you're just going to keep spilling that stuff into your life. I want to give you an example of this. Think about if a child came from an upbringing of struggling parents. Let's say these parents didn't have much. The child was raised in a home that always struggled to make it. He had a home over his head, sometimes went without food, but they barely had money. They struggled. Money was always in lack, right? Parents were always just trying to struggle to catch up. Think about the emotions, the thoughts, and the actions that are going to take place in that home. With that type of lack, there's probably going to be some negative talk in the house. Probably going to be some arguing, probably some stress, probably a lot of other elements that are going to take place that the parents are going to take to mask their pain and emotions just to survive. Now, an agreement is made in that struggle. As a child, we see that. We just want to survive too. We learn to see things as they see things, as the way they live. That just becomes our normal. We don't know any different as children. That just becomes our normal. As children, we make agreements about how life is, and this is what life is just like. We just think must be life. And you become mentally prepared to live like this for your future. Now, some children, as they grow, they make changes early on. Even as a child, they decide, you know what, this is not how I want to live for the rest of my life. And they make an agreement to not believe in the way that their parents believe in this way of living. They made a choice, right? A lot of children don't make that choice. And that spills over into their adulthood. So more often than not, us as a kid growing up, we're feeling, we're thinking, we're speaking, and we're acting in such a way that creates inner belief that we deserve to be like this place of lack, just like our parents were. This belief goes into our subconscious and it creates everything that we do and how we act in our life. This then becomes our belief, becomes what we hold as truth. And it will hinder us later in life. If we don't break free from it at some point, this is going to start hindering our life. It may be hindering your life now. I want to share another little tidbit to take that one step further. Think about this. Sometimes we hear about famous athletes that come from homes just like this. They become famous, they play sports, that's their out, right? They see sports as their break free moment. They end up making all the money in the world. They're a success story. But they don't know how to take care of money. They spend it on everything. They spend it all. If they don't get help on how to break free from their mental state, they lose their money. I've heard of pro athletes breaking in homes, stealing, harming others, killing people. It's because they're still in that mental state from where they came from. As soon as they retire, they go broke because they don't have any more income. They don't know how to keep it. They're coming from a place of lack. Why? Because they still believe in that in themselves. And if we don't heal that, we still carry that. If we don't start to change our agreements, we are going to do the same thing. Our childhood agreements become our adult hindrances, our roadblocks, our setbacks. So we need to start working first on our understanding of our past agreements, which we didn't even get to decide, that became our beliefs. We need to rewire. Those beliefs can then actually become the things that pull us back into our past and has our future push us into where we can't go forward. And that keeps us from seeking our own success. That keeps us from knowing that we deserve greatness. So we have to interconnect, understand. We have to go in and look at our entire life, extract from the timeline and look at it all. We have to understand it. So I want to wrap up day one. It's a lot. It's heavy. But I hope you took notes. I hope you go back and replay this. But I want to wrap this up as much as possible. I want to bring everything into an awareness. Our understanding of our past can be what frees us up for our present. So we can actively create a future for ourselves in being fearless and being courageous and being bold. But we have to relate to the truths of our past to what got us to right here. This is going to help us connect the dots to find the truth of who we are. When we find out who we are, we can then move into being truly what we want to be. Now, none of this is to point the finger or to cast blame or to stand in judgment about anyone's agreements or beliefs that are wrong. I come from a home that had a place of lack. I come from a family that had a mindset, has a mindset of lack, disbelief. Don't think that they deserve riches. They think that they just deserve to be poor because that's how we were raised. That's wrong. And I'm choosing to break that agreement with myself. Now, I'm not saying, again, my parents are wrong. I'm not saying my family was wrong. It's just it's the understanding that they had at the time. And now I'm going to choose the understanding for myself of what I want to create and what I want to become. And this is what I wish and support and am encouraging you to do. This is what this is about. Now I want to end up day one with an activity or an exercise, a simple connection to the understanding of our current beliefs. So to end this day, we're going to wrap up with this agreement and belief exercise. What I want you to do in this exercise, I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a line down the middle. All right, draw a line across the top like a T, if I can make one. On the left side of your paper, I think for you it would be this side, I want you to write on the left side 5 to 10 beliefs that you currently hold about yourself as an adult that you know are true. You can use religion, you can use sports, you can use food, you can use some thoughts, but if it's those simple things, try to limit those. Really try to go deeper than those easy ones. Really try to go inside to that programming of your mindset, of your perspectives, of your emotions, could be even your eating habits. Really take some time to do this. You don't have to do it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe write 5 and come back to it 2-3 hours later. After you have that list on the left side and you feel like, yeah, okay, I got a good amount. On the right side, just next to each one of those beliefs. So you'll have one belief here. Let's just say it's, I believe in this sports team. On the right side, did you actually choose that for yourself? Or was that actually created and instilled in you from your parents or from your culture or for how you were raised? Remember, this is your journal. This is your notebook. This is your time to invoke your change. So be honest. We're not saying things are good or bad, wrong or right. But the idea is to uncover the truth about our past that's been actually plaguing us and maybe keeping us, hindering us from moving forward into a state of reality that we want to change, we want to invoke for ourselves. When we know a lot about our own beliefs, when we can see that they weren't ours, we can change them. We can now start to either unwire beliefs, we can start to see that this unwiring is something that we didn't want for ourselves. It's just take it out, but I want to grab this one and this one, I want to put it in. We can reprogram new beliefs, new, more empowering agreements into ourselves. All right, message me if you need any help, if you need any encouragement, if you need anything extra, message me directly. But I'm going to close this here on day one. Let's start with a brand new playing field. We're recreating a new foundation because this is going to set us up for tomorrow. All right, tomorrow is going to be about our ego, creating the ego that we want to have, having the thoughts, emotions, and ideas and agreements that we share within ourselves that are going to push us into creating the world that we want to have. So as you do this exercise, I encourage you and I invite you to be kind to yourself. Sometimes this can be very hard. It can awaken a lot of memories, might even bring up some pains. If you need some help through that, some support, some encouragement, let me know. I've went deep into these things, so trust me, I know what it's like. But this healing that you're going to go through in uncovering these beliefs and agreements that you realize that you want to step through, this is your healing. This is your healing to your past to empower your future. And I'll see you back tomorrow for day 2, the powering of an alter ego, the power in altering our ego. I encourage you to really dive into this first activity. Again, thank you for joining me on day 1. See you back for day 2. Take care. Love y'all.